Welcome back to the show where I'm restarting the recording 10 times out of unforeseen consequences. It's been almost 2 weeks since last update. Been a few annoyances, some refactoring, but also a bit of a success. So I'm making this animation program, and one of the main goals is to have support for large resolution imagery without the application coming to a crawl, either when you edit or when you do playback. And one extreme case is 8K resolution. So the open raster format is just a zip file that you can unzip. So I made an example, and when I say 8K, I mean like this 8K cinematic resolution, not the 8K squared like we use in games, Power of 2. So this is the goal, not the full 8K. So all the layers are full scale, but I don't want to show this on my PC. I'm going to switch to my laptop because OBS combined with my application is doing a lot of GPU usage, so I can't prove it to you. So I'm going to switch to the laptop, and here it is, a tiny little thing, and Intel integrated graphics card. You see it's like not even 4 gigabytes of VRAM, and video memory is 7, and it's an i5. So not much, right? So we have the same thing here. So let's open this. The startup takes a little while because we're loading all of these PNGs, right? But there it is. And as you can see on the left here, not much is happening when I'm not using it. And then where did I put my pen? So here's the pen. So I'm editing this. A note down here. I'm editing a layer on an 8K and it's compositing right now. So for example, you do this. But you might have noticed when I change the layer opacity, I need to update the compositing on all the layers because each layer now is filling the whole image. So the whole image is dirty, right? So it's compositing the merged image. So that's the proof that in this case, this is the worst case. But otherwise, I'm editing this 8K image while I'm drawing, and there's almost no usage. So I'm quite happy with getting this dirty region thing working. And also, I'm going to open this in my debug mode just to show here. This will take a little bit longer. It's debug, but I'm going to press F1 and you can see all the image state on the left. So this is quite a lot of work to do for this laptop. And we can also see that the debug is really killing the input. It's kind of weird. It's like the CPU and the GPU is doing nothing. You see on the left, it's like almost nothing. Yet the debug mode is killing my input. And it's only when I have a lot of layers. It has nothing to do with the 8K. I'm going to have to debug that. But anyway, that's enough for the laptop. Putting that aside. And I'm going to stop my phone here. Stop it. And I'm putting it away. Save some battery. Okay. So that was the 8K performance test. Working fine. Last time I recorded, I got here because I got confused. It was saying 80% GPU usage, and it's something with OBS and Sketchpad at the same time. Just to prove it to you. So we started, and this is a monster PC compared to my laptop, and for some reason it sometimes spikes, and I was like, oh, did I do something? But no. We can see now that the GPU usage is through the roof, right? Okay, so that's the 8K thing. Yeah, so related to this, I've been doing off-screen compositing, or just another way of saying I'm using the GPU to composite the layers to a render target, which is the merged result we see on the screen. And that has brought me into let's see, I need to open this way. So I've been using these two test images. They keep popping up. It's some really old stuff. So I've been, okay, before going all the way into this. So we have these layer effects that you can see in Krita, Photoshop, Clip Studio Paint, and so on. And they have like these standard names. And if we go all the way back, some nice dude here, Nathan, has a link that doesn't work anymore. We go to this and it's like, oh, you don't have permission. So here's the funny part. He did something that we can't access. Then this guy made a GLSL shaders with all of these. So we have this one with the license. And then we go to this one, Jamie Owen, GLSL blend for this thing I can't even pronounce, and claims a license, but doesn't include a license from this guy. And we have this guy who used this guy's GLSS to do this. So we have this really nice GLSL setup, really easy to use, but there's no license on this one. But this one used a license on something that isn't his derivative. This guy did a new license, did not mention this guy, except like a link here somewhere, and same here. So the licensing chain is already completely broken, and this is like almost 10 years old. So I'm just going to paste the link like the rest did and say thank you for the work. Getting back into my application, right? Am I running this in debug? Yes. I don't have a way to show on the screen which blending mode it is right now, but I can press a button and we get an overlay. And note here, I'm going to start Krita with the same scene because this was a bit of a bigger headache than one might think. So let's say I put this into, let's do an overlay like this. Doing this is kind of straightforward with GLSL, but as soon as all your layers have transparency, so that you don't actually have any image data at the bottom, you start to have this layered opacity, the transparency thing, and the default behavior in applications like Krita and Clip Studio Paint is if that transparency goes to 0, the effect on the next layer zeroes out. It disappears. You see there's no overlay effect anymore. Like it's disappearing, right? So using these shaders straight up is super simple, but as soon as you get to this part and you need to do a transparent chain, you're off on your own. So let's do another one. What should we take? Oh, we can do subtract because this is an interesting side point. So if we do subtract here, and let's see, I think they're on the same. Yeah, they look the same now. But yeah, so we're in the right mode. This got a bit confusing at first because if you in Krita, for example, decide that you're using sRGB linear, and linear in this case does not, how should I say, they switch to a linear blending mode. Note how it looks lighter, but if I have normal, the image is the same, so it's not like our images changes, it's just that the way the operations work in the workspace. So, where are we? Subtract, I can't read. So, I had a little bit of this problem first, and it's like, why is it different? So right now, my application is sRGB all the way through. I'm not converting to linear back and forth. I just had to get this working, and this part you see with the effect disappearing when you do transparency. So I could probably talk for hours, the frustrations and the submits, and it's like, why isn't it working? All I can say is, you're supposed to use pre-multiplied alpha to make things easier for you. And in this case, it became the opposite. You're not supposed to pre-multiplied too early. Do your effects, then use pre-multiplied to do composition down to handle the alpha. So I was trying to do everything with pre-multiplied before, and that makes everything different. Like, the effect looks similar, but there are subtle differences. So when you use a reference application like Krita in the background, it's like, why is it different this time? Why is it this opacity looking different? And blah blah blah. So I got into this because I was doing the 8K off-screen compositing, and I want to make sure I could do all the shaders. A friend of mine wanted me to actually start showing code, but I'm kind of not ready for that yet. I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist, but I'm still figuring things out. So showing the wrong structure now, I don't know if I want to. So yeah, I did a tons of refactoring. So just a funny side note, this camera movement here, for some reason I had managed to mix up the logic between, you have the view transform, it's like when you inverse transform the world to the camera and then render there, and then you have the camera transform, which is where is the camera out in the world. So I had mixed those two things, so I called the view transform the transform and vice versa. And because I have this logic where I can flip the camera based on the center on the scene, it's not as easy as just doing the inverse matrix transform. It did not work. I thought it would, but no. Adding that pivot in the middle of the chain makes it non-standard somehow and got really weird results. So it took me a long time just to rewrite the code to get back to the same state I was, but where I actually have a proper camera inverse when I'm drawing on stuff. And you might ask, why is that important? Why do I need that to work properly? It's because in the extended future, I need my scene here we're looking at and a 3D viewport to work. Oh, look at this. And we can draw on it. And to be able to do this, I need to be able to use my camera transform and project into the world and draw on the surface that I have. And you can see everything works in this scene as the other one works. So yeah, kind of important for future work. And another thing, I personally don't like this feature, but note where my cursor is when I zoom in. I zoom in to that point, right? Let's reload this. Have I broken this feature? Yeah, seems like it. It's because I started with that scene. I need to fix that later. If I open normally, I can reload. So zoom in there. I can zoom in here. Oh, we can actually do this. The 1 pixel test, and this is actually, so I've been going on with this sharpness, right, fat pixel thing when I zoom in. So this wasn't completely perfect. The fat pixel shader was still slightly blurry, so you might not see it on the recording, but it's like your eyes cannot quite focus, almost like you have a slight bad eyesight. But now it's working again, and it's like, yes, it's super sharp. I was actually using a screenshot from, I don't know who did this, I just took it on the website, another handmade project called Tetrisk. It's like you're playing 2 lines at the same time. Sorry, I can't credit you, I forgot who your name is. But I thought this game had like this very sharp look to it, so it's good for debugging. So I'm actually using this game as a litmus test for, are the pixels sharp enough on the screen to edit with? And I kind of like it. So it's like, oh, mirror, do this. Yeah, so I think I finally fixed it. So in these shaders, you have like a K, which is how much of the width is going to be antialized. And they have like a set factor, like 0.7 or 0.5. I figured out if I put a power on that, so we have a power curve, it became much sharper with less artifacting. You might see at some angles when we're really zoomed in, we get the jagged steps, but that's fine, because as you start to not rotate as much, but you're doing like this, unless you point it out, most people won't notice it. So now it looks really good. What else? Yeah, I got into this with the zoom to the mouse cursor thing. I'm going to add that as options. So you zoom to the middle of the screen. I don't like it, but some people want it. Yeah. So I have this example. Did I mess this up again? Yeah, I need to go back to this. I managed to change one line somewhere in the code. You see that the group is broken again. It's actually kind of funny to show this. This is how it's supposed to look like. And the last thing I did today was some refactoring, so I regressed this problem. Essentially, it's not copying back the back buffer between rendering. So now it looks broken, but that's fine. That's not what I was supposed to show. What I was supposed to show is this. I can move layers around. Yeah, you can see it's missing there. So I'm going to fix that until next time. It's just minor things, one line. But yeah, being able to move layers like this interactively, and what's the other thing? Yeah, this drag drop thing looking better. Was that it? Yeah, and also a slight bug. So when we have a scene like this and I need to be able to rotate the mirror, I center the viewport so I can resize the screen. You see how it stays in the middle of the screen. So I had a floor command in the as part of troubleshooting, and that 1 pixel offset made my off-screen render just 1 pixel different in the y-axis. I can't show it, but it's kind of weird when you're like doing off-screen rendering and somehow your image just goes 1 pixel wrong, and was because of that floor thing. I was supposed to show, yeah, I can't show that now, but I managed to allow to draw while animating, and you got this animated swirl effect. Maybe I can show that next time. Okay, I stopped having structure for this recording already, so I'm going to end it. So stay tuned for another update of Chaos. Until next time.